Give me just 20 minutes. Y'all can sit down real quickly. I know this time is well spent. Give me 20 minutes. I got to deliver this to you. I wanted to preach something else. This is how I know this is a word from God for you all, because I wanted to preach something else. And the Lord literally changed my whole message. I was working on preaching. I'm in the box. And I had it together. I was going to preach standing inside of a box and preach I'm in the box. Contrary to everybody else that's preaching, get out the box. I was going to preach about the power of being in the box. But the Lord led me a different way. And here's where he took me. He took me over to the book of Genesis, the 45th chapter. Genesis 45. Watch me quickly. I'm going to go there. Genesis 45. I'm doing from the NLT version of the text as well. Here's what it says. Joseph could stand it no longer. There were many people in the room. And he said to his attendants, "Out, all of you." So he was alone with his brothers when he told them who he was. Verse 2 says, then he broke down and wept. He wept so loudly the Egyptians could hear him. And word of it quickly carried to Pharaoh's place. Joseph says, am I? He says, I am Joseph. This is what he said to his brothers. Is my father still alive? But his brothers were speechless. They were stunned to realize that Joseph was standing there in front of them. Here's what Joseph says, please come closer. So they came closer, and he said again, I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into slavery in Egypt. Here's what really blessed me. He says, but don't be upset. Don't be angry with yourselves for selling me to this place. For it was God who sent me here ahead of you to preserve your lives. It was amazing to me as I began to read this. It began to bless me. My subject for today is I never got over it. I never got over it. This message began to bless me in such a way that I said, wow, God, I will release this today. Here's, watch this, introduction purposes. There's this guy and this girl, they're in undergrad together. And as they're in undergrad together, we find here that they are heading towards the last semester of school. And as they're heading towards the last semester of school, we find now that their professor comes in and says something to them. She holds up a glass of water. She holds up this glass of water, and here we are, the last class before graduation time. Automatically, everybody started to go to the metaphor. Here we go. The glass half empty, the glass half full. But here we find that this lady gives a vital lesson on the power of perspective and mindsets. She holds up a glass of water, and everybody is looking at it, waiting to hear what she's going to say. And as she raises the glass of water over her head, everyone's expecting her to talk about the typical story. She asks the question, how heavy is this glass of water I'm holding? Automatically, the students began answering and ranging from couple of ounces to a couple of pounds, as everybody is trying to guess how heavy this glass of water was. After a few moments of fielding answers and nodding her head, she replied, from my perspective, the absolute weight of this glass is irrelevant. She says, it depends on how long I hold it. Y'all just missed that. She says, if I hold it for a minute or two, it's fairly light. But if I hold it for an hour straight, its weight might make my arms ache. She says, but if I hold it for a day straight, my arms will likely cramp up and feel completely numb and paralyzed, forcing me to drop the glass to the floor. In each case, the absolute weight of the glass doesn't change, but the longer I hold on to it, the heavier it begins to feel to me. Y'all ain't catching already. She went on to say, as most of us students nodding our heads in agreement, she continued, she says, your worries, your frustrations, your disappointments, and stress thoughts are very much like this glass of water. Think about it. She says, if you begin to think about it for a little while, nothing drastic begins to happen. She says, if you think about it a little bit longer, you begin to feel noticeable pain. She says, but if you think about it all day long, you will feel completely numb and paralyzed, incapable of doing anything else until you drop it. And many of us, that's where we are. Some of us have decided to hold on to what was plaguing us for so long that what used to didn't be heavy now has you numb. She began to show us something here, and as I listened to this, I now arrived at my text. Let me give you backdrop history of the text. You must understand that what has happened now is, prior to the 45th verse, Joseph's family comes to him and they ask him to bless them by providing resources so they can live through the famine. They come to Joseph. When they come to Joseph, they say, could you please allow us the favor and the honor of handing us what's needed for us to be filled. What really began to bless me first is this. The first thing that I saw here is, Solomon, I saw that they show up to Joseph and don't recognize who he is. Now note this, Joseph leaves home around the age of 17. So it's not as if they didn't get to know him, but what he went through allowed them not to know him. He is literally standing in front of his brothers and they don't recognize that this is flesh of our flesh, bones of our bones. Because here becomes the truth. You can go through stuff so strong that it changed the appearance of how you look. You can go through stuff so long that you don't even recognize the disconfigurations of your face, your body, and your expressions. Joseph is here. He recognizes them because they didn't go through what he went through. But they can't recognize him because they put him through something that they couldn't recognize. I'm going to preach, I promise you. And so something happens here. What begins to happen now is he sees them and Joseph begins to play games with them. He says to him, hey, your father still living? They say, yes. He says, you got any brothers? Now note this. Benjamin is 10 years old when Joseph is sold into slavery. So Joseph is fully knowledgeable that Benjamin exists. But now he's playing with them. He's still hovering what they did to him. He's still remembering the pain and the suffering you put me through. And he says, now that the tables have turned, I'm going to do unto you as you've done unto me. So he begins to play with them. The boys begin to communicate amongst each other. And they say, man, how are we going to do this? Joseph says, go back if you want this food and get your brother and bring him back. Automatically they begin to be afraid because they begin to think about the fact that father has never ever gotten over what happened through our decisions. Our dad, Jacob, the trickster, has never gotten over being tricked. And if we take Benjamin away from him now, he, watch this, would be nervous about it and he probably would die. Just notice that Jacob does not talk about his boys unified anymore. He talks about it, if you look into the text, he talks about having two sons. Even though we know he had much more than that. Y'all missing that. But he talks about the two because the two came from the one that he loved. And so now to snatch what I love again might take my life. So now we find that Joseph is sitting there and he tells them, I need you to go back and I need you to tell them to come bring the boy to me. They begin to be nervous. They say, we can't do that. We can't do that. We can't do that. Now they come back to Joseph. When they come back to Joseph, they come back with trembling. They come back nervous. They come back because Joseph has an ought against his brothers. This ought that Joseph has against his brothers, now we find that he's in the process of now giving judgment to them. Can I say something? You better be careful how you treat certain people, because you never know when the seats may turn and the one you did wrong is the one you depended on. Look down your road and tell your neighbor, say, you better treat me kind. Tell them, because I ain't always going to be in this condition that I'm in right now. So we find that something happens here. Something happens. I'm almost there. Something happens. Joseph now, watch this. He's mad. He's angry. And he's feeling like he's in a position of vindication. He's sitting here and he says, tables have turned. It's my time now. It's my time to show y'all jokers that you done messed with the wrong one. You can imagine Joseph probably said, you're going to learn tonight that you did things wrong to me. Joseph is in this position, and the text says that now Joseph sees he must become convicted in his spirit. Because you know, when you really are born again believer, you do have convictions. Y'all ain't gonna talk to me. Some of y'all crack me up, but you don't never have no convictions. Yeah, because you ain't always doing it right. You better thank God that you got convictions. A conviction is actually an indication that you got the Holy Ghost working on the inside of you. And so if you don't have no convictions, maybe you need to check your relationship, y'all. Joseph gets to the place, I'm there. When he gets to the place, he says, I can't do this no more. God has convicted my heart. God has messed with me. God has messed me up. And now that God has messed me up, I got to do right. I got to do right. Can I tell you that when you really are born again believer, I don't care how much wrong you do, you got to do right. And so he's in this place now, and he does something. He says, you know what? I can't do it no more. The Bible says that he couldn't stand it. Verse 1 said he couldn't stand it no longer. And so what he did was he told everybody to get out the room. He says, I can't stand it no more. I need everybody to get out the room. Note this, that we are told the high levels of production that Joseph accomplished, even under distress. But the writer here seems to reserve the true weight of his situation until the 45th chapter. Again, he's been under distress the whole time. But even under distress, he's been productive. He is here stressed out, but yet producing. And this is why I get a little offended sometimes by some of y'all church folks, because just because I perform at high levels don't mean I'm not dealing with stressful situations. So Joseph shows us how to function damaged. He shows us how to operate damaged, because we got so many believers that want everybody to see your damage that you can't function. But Joseph shows us how to function damaged. Joseph suppresses it and still becomes productive. Can I tell you that you're so anointed that you can still function even when you have suppression on your life? That's the reason why some people can't tolerate you now. It's because even though they tried everything possible to mess you up, you still found a way to be productive. Joseph says, what I'm dealing with ain't got nothing to do with who I'm called to be. Joseph says, the anointing on my life ain't got nothing to do with this affliction that's coming to me. And Joseph says, you know what? I got to stand my ground. I got to do it. Watch this. Note this. We got to understand that Joseph is sold into slavery around 17 years old. Not only is he sold to slavery around 17, it is recorded that he was in Potiphar's house around 30 years old. And we find that he is now released from prison right around 43 years old, which indicates that at 39 going on 40 years, Joseph has been in the season of bondage. He was in the season of bondage. I know when we're preaching the story, we make it sound like it was such a quick movement that took place. But we're talking about homeboy being in, watch this. He was in slavery for 13 years and still did not give up on God. 13 years, and you can't deal with 13 days. He's involved in this for 13 years and still said, I'm still going to trust God. Matter of fact, as for somebody that needed to hear that in the house, I don't care how long you've been there. I want you to know that God is still able to bring you out of it in your season. Text says something almost there. Find that Joseph is performing even though he's under distress. He's performing even though it's hard. He's performing even though he's hurting. He's performing even though watch this, he needs a release. I love this verse. Keep the verse up. I love what it says to us in that first verse. It says to us that he kicks everybody out the house. And when he kicks everybody out the house, watch this. Watch this. In second verse, the text says that he now begins, second verse, the text says that he now begins to break. NLT. He now begins to break. Text says, then he broke down and he wept. Now watch. I want you to understand that there will be moments that you will cry. There will be moments that you will break. There will be moments that you will finally let it go. And one of the things that I can't stand about church folks sometimes is y'all never give us a season for us to have the break. You never give the season for us to say, I'm saved, I'm sanctified, I'm filled with the Holy Spirit, but I feel like just breaking down right now. Can I talk to the few people that's ever been there where you says, you know what, I felt like quitting, I felt like throwing in the towel, I felt like giving up, I felt like saying to hell with all y'all, I felt like going away, I felt like cussing everybody out. Is there anybody in the house that's ever got to the place where you say, Lord, I can't take this no more? Joseph says, I'm sick and I'm tired, and what I don't need another praise party, I don't need another worship song, I need to kick everybody out the room so I can just weep out loud. He's there, he's weeping, he's crying. It's so loud that it blows his cover from everybody that he's been protecting himself against. Because there will be seasons in your life where you can't show everybody how vulnerable you are. If he would have showed them how vulnerable he was earlier, he would have never been placed in a position of authority. That's the reason why you can't be crying to everybody. Look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor, stop having pity parties all the time. Always looking sad, always looking like somebody that offended you, always looking like you're unhappy with life. You cannot get elevated if you can't stay in the valley. Joseph is there. He's in this place. And Joseph says, everybody get out. I don't want to blow my cover. I don't want y'all to see me crying. I don't want y'all to know that I'm hurting. I don't want y'all to recognize that I don't like how my life has been. He kicks everybody out the door. When he kicks them out the door, the text says he weeps so loud that the Egyptians could hear him. And when the Egyptians heard him, watch this, the word of it went quickly to Pharaoh's place. And that began to bless me, Kai, because I began to ask myself, what did y'all tell Pharaoh? I'm crying. What y'all telling Pharaoh? You got to understand, it's some people that are so interested in you coming backwards that they're waiting for a moment for you to be honest with your own feelings. And the moment that you're honest with your own feelings, they're like, got it. And I'm going to go tell it. But let me tell somebody right now that even though they're trying to tell on you, what they're about to tell ain't going to change your circumstances. And it ain't going to change your, I need somebody to look at somebody else and tell your neighbor, say, I don't care what they say. Tell them it ain't changing nothing about my direction. It ain't changing nothing that God want me to do. It ain't changing no placement that I have. It ain't changing my outcomes. It's not changing what God has planned for my life. And I don't care who tells anything. Text says something. Pharaoh now. He ran and told Pharaoh. Like Pharaoh's some kind of bear. He done ran and told Pharaoh. Don't you understand? Watch this. When God places you someplace, I don't care who tells on you, but it's the placement of God for your life. Can't nobody snatch you out of the place that God placed you. That's the reason why I done stopped worrying. I'm so glad I ain't caring about nothing that none of y'all got to say about me anymore. I finally got to a place of real deliverance where I can tell all of y'all to kiss rocks and die, because I don't care nothing that you got to say about me no more because I am convinced that I am where God has me. Look at your neighbor, tell your neighbor, say, deliver yourself. And stop worrying about what these people gonna say. They're gonna talk about you whether you left or right. They're gonna talk about you whether you light skin, dark skin. They're gonna talk about you whether you skinny or fat. They're gonna talk about you regardless. And you got to get to the point where you say, I don't care. Joseph is here. They run and tell Pharaoh. When they run and tell Pharaoh, Joseph, he don't even pay attention to what they're doing around him. Instead, he tells his brothers, come here, come to me. They're nervous now. They scared because they know what they did to you. They scared now. You say, come here. You ever been there? You got your little kids. Kids, y'all ain't here right now. When you do something wrong, and mama say, come here. You be just signs of abuse. You scared. I believe you should be scared. Fear of God is the beginning of all understanding. Fear the Lord too. Amen. We find that they was nervous about the approachment. And he had to assure them, come here. It's still me, Joseph. Can I deal with that for a moment? Come here. It's still me, Joseph. It's still me. I'm still the one you used to bully. I'm still the one that used to do all kind of crazy stuff to. I'm still the one you snatched up. Obviously, in the transition of the slavery, the house, and the prison, homeboy done got bulked up. Because at one time you weren't scared of me. But now you're afraid of me. Y'all just missed that. Yeah. One time you weren't scared, but for some reason now you are afraid. Can I tell you that what you're going through is about to strengthen the efforts of who you're going to be? That when folks see you, they're going to be, oh no, we can't do like we used to do with them, because even though we tried to suppress them, you grew stronger. Even though we tried to break them down, you grew better. Even though you tried to cast them down, you got elevated. And the reality is what you're going through is about to elevate you to a whole different position. Joseph, let me end this thing. Joseph says, come here. Y'all follow me? I'm in verse 4. He says, come here. Joseph, he says, come closer. He says to them, and so they came closer. And when he says, I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into slavery in Egypt. Verse 5. Well, here's what really began to bless me. He says, but don't be upset. Can I tell you today, I want y'all to leave this place, and I want y'all to go to every place that did you wrong and tell it, I ain't even upset. I didn't understand it when you did it, but I thank you for what you did. Y'all missed that. I need you to leave this place today and go back and just relieve some people. Tell them, baby, you ain't got to try to hide from me no more. No, I thank you for pushing me and promoting me to the next level of my life. If you did not do what you did, I would not be who I am. And because I am who I am, I got to thank you for what you did. I need you to look down your row and tell everybody on your row, say, I thank God. Not just for my celebrators, but tell them I thank you for my haters. Because if it had not been a hater, I wouldn't be an elevator. If it had not been for those that came against me, God would not have lifted me up. And I gotta say thank you. Text says, he says, don't be upset. It's a sad thing when I got to tell you, don't be mad about what you did. He says, don't be upset. And watch this. And don't even be angry with yourselves. I love to read words. And when he says, and don't be upset with yourself. Catch that, one? Don't be upset with yourself. So he's telling them, don't be mad that you promoted me. Y'all missed that. He says, don't be upset. Don't be upset and don't be angry for elevating me. Y'all still missing this. I know what you meant for my evil. That's 20th verse in the 5th chapter. But he says, I know what you meant for my evil, but I want to tell you, don't be mad that you're the reason for my promotion. Don't be mad. Listen, if it had not been a Judas, there would have never been a crucifixion. And the reality is some of y'all got Judases in your life. And while you're trying to kill the crucifier, you need to begin to open your mouth and say, I thank God for the sacrifice that you put me up under, because if it had not been for you, I could not be who I am. Matter of fact, look down your row and tell everybody on your row, when you understand who God is, them, say everything works together for your good. When you understand really how God is and how much his hand is on your life, you will stop spending so much time talking to other folks about what they're doing to you, and you will start saying, any way you want to bless me, Lord, I'll be sad. Is there anybody in the house that say, God, I thank you? I'm done. He says, I'm about ready to rock Solomon. He's done. He says to us, he says, but don't be upset. And don't be angry with yourselves. Don't be angry with yourselves for selling me to this place. Y'all missed that. Don't be angry with yourself for selling me to this place. The money you got was actually a token paid for me to be elevated. He says, I don't want you to be angry for selling me into this place. He says, but it was God. It was God. I know you functioned, and I called you a demon while you was functioning. But can I tell you that every good believer need a good demon? Some of y'all too good to do what I need. I need a good demon. Look at your neighbor and say, a good demon, a good demon, a good demon. I don't cast every demon away. Some demons I need to stay right around me, because some demons open doors for me. Y'all ain't catching that. Yeah. Some of y'all rebuking everything that you see. Oh, we rebuke that demon. Nope, bring that demon to me. I need that demon to come this way, because that demon is about to help me get to my placement. Because some of y'all got so much God in you that you ain't gonna do me wrong. But sometimes you need a good demon to put you in a good direction. Text says something. He says, don't be angry, don't be upset. It was God who did something here. God sent me here ahead of you to preserve your life. God sent me here in advance. I didn't like the journey, but I wasn't equipped for the assignment. So God sent me ahead because he understood that there was a calling on my life, and I had to accomplish something that I could not accomplish if I still roll with you. There is something that I'm supposed to accomplish that I can't accomplish with the same crew that I got. So I had to be kicked out the crew to go ahead, because they tell me that if you want to go fast, you go by yourself. But if you want to go far, you go with a lot of people. And so God sped me up. Watch this. He sped me up, but he's going to put me back in time. Y'all missed that. God sped me up. Matter of fact, some of y'all going through so much hell because God has advanced your season, and you didn't understand why you was going through what you was going through. But can I tell you that time is about to catch up with your season, and you're about to understand everything that God's been putting. Matter of fact, I feel like preaching now. I need you to lean on somebody and tell your neighbor, say, everything I've been going through. Say, God has allowed me to struggle with my situations. But tell them, say, I did not understand it then, but tell them I'm about to understand it now, because God's been setting me up for time to catch up with me. I need you to slap high five with somebody and tell your neighbor, say, neighbor, say, time is on my side. And tell them, and time is about to show out in my life, because I had to go through some stuff in order for God to open up some stuff. But the reality is I got to learn how to get over it. Got to learn how to get over it. Because if he would have stayed where he was, he would have been playing back and forth with his brothers. And what you don't understand is, if you're playing back and forth with your brothers, what might happen is you can't get to your assignment because you're still trying to play with individuals. And I came to tell somebody, stop trying to get somebody else to give you a strength of forgiveness. I need you to get over what they did to you and start telling yourself, I don't like how you did it to me, but I'm not going to let you hold me back for what God got in store for me. Because it wasn't until he relieved his brothers and showed his brothers who he was that he was now able to do what he was called to do. And I just came to tell somebody in the house that you've been trying to get even, and the Lord said, get ahead. Slap a neighbor high five and say, neighbor, Say, you've been trying to get even, but tell them, say, the assignment for you is for you to get ahead. And God says, I got greater for you. That's the reason why I can shout and dance. It's because I recognize that the worst really is over and the best is yet to come. And I refuse to go into my new year thinking about last year's situations. And so whatever you did, I don't need you to come back and apologize. I don't need you to come back and say I'm sorry. I don't need you to pay me my money back. But for whatever you did, I want to tell you thank you. Because wherever the attack, every work of the enemy has all worked together to elevate me in this season. Y'all ain't talking back to me. Look at somebody else and say, neighbor, say, I've been done wrong. But tell them, say, I got to let that go. Tell them, because ain't nobody going forward with a pity party. But I've learned how to have a praise in spite of where I am, because my praise reminds me of who God is in my life. Is there anybody in the house that'll be honest for a moment that when you felt like quitting, the praise reigned in your spirit? Is there anybody that'll be honest for a moment and just tell somebody else, I don't praise God just because it's all together, but every once in a while I got to praise God to remind myself of who God is. And when I start praising, I found that my situation, it seems to become minimized. Is there anybody in the house that's learned how to praise God even though you don't like the situation, but to learn how to praise God? I found something out. I found that I can praise God over my circumstances. I can praise God over my situations. I can praise God over my dislikes. And the more I praise, the better I feel. Slap a neighbor high five and say, neighbor, you might not have all the solutions, but tell them, as long as you got a praise in your mouth, you're able to get stronger from it. As a matter of fact, I hear the Lord say, whatever didn't kill you is meant to build you. And some of y'all, your testimony is you are a survivor. And I came to tell you that even though it didn't kill you, the Lord say, I just built you. Now let what happened in your past, let it go today. Let what happened in your past, let it be released today. Because God got too much in front of you to keep staying stagnated on what's behind you. Y'all ain't talking back to me. Grab a neighbor by the hand and say, neighbor, when I speak this over your life, tell them, say, I need you to believe it. Tell them, say, the worst is over and the best is yet to come. Y'all ain't talking to the right neighbor. I need you to find somebody else and say, neighbor, did you hear me what I said? Tell them, say, the Lord sat me next to you just to show somebody else that the worst is over and the best is yet to come. Tell them it's more ahead of you, it's been behind you. And so I ain't trying to get them right. I ain't trying to go back to no spilled milk. I ain't trying to rectify a situation. I ain't trying to get you to love me. I ain't trying to get you to be my friend. But I recognize that every once in a while God will loose you so you can go higher. Slap a neighbor high five and say, neighbor, say, God just loose me so I can go to my next level, because I could not go where I was and I was not connected to the right circle to get to my elevation. But God had to free me so I can get what He got for me. Is there anybody in the house today that'll open your mouth and celebrate God today because you thought you needed it, but God said, I'll do you better if you let it go? Slap another neighbor high five and say, neighbor, I had to cry. I felt alone. I felt abandoned. I felt like God had forgotten about me. But tell him, I thank God for the word today, because now I see that God has not forsaken me. God did not leave me, but God was building me up. Is there anybody in the house today that better say, God's been building me. I don't know how you're doing it, but I feel you've been building me. I should have quit a long time ago, but I feel you're building me. I should have thrown in the towel, but I feel you're building me. I should have lost my mind, but I feel you're building me. I should have been drugged out, but I feel you're building me. I should be somewhere in a cuckoo house, but I feel you're building me. Is there anybody in the house that know that you got a reason to lose your mind, but some kind of way it was grace and mercy? Slap a neighbor high five and say, neighbor, say, I don't praise God just like I do because I ain't been through nothing, but tell them when I praise God, it's an indication that I recognize that in spite of it all, God still favored me. That's who I want to talk to, the favored folks that recognize that if the devil had his way, you would have lost your mind by now, but God says you can't lose your mind because this has been part of the process. Slap a neighbor high five and say, neighbor, I can't explain how I got to where I am, but tell them, say, all I can say is it's part of the process. It's part of the process. Every tear was part of the process. Every tear, I feel that in my spirit, was part of the process, because somebody in here, you've been crying and the devil's been telling you that you miss God, but I came to tell you that the tears of sorrow are about to be exchanged for the tears of joy. I need somebody to grab a neighbor by the hand and say, neighbor, my whole life is shifting. Tell him my whole life is shifting. God's elevating me. God's building me up. God's turning things around. Y'all ain't come to talk to nobody. I need somebody that almost gave up to open your mouth and shout out, God is shifting things in my life. Is there anybody in the house that'll open your mouth and give God praise? Because you did not break even though you was under the pressure. You did not break even though you felt like giving up. But I'm wiser, I'm stronger, I'm back. I'm done. But slap somebody high five and say, neighbor, say, for the rest of the year I'm gonna praise God at the point of my conviction, and I feel that God got great things in store for my life. And so though I be slave, yet I'm gonna trust. Though I feel like quitting, yet I'm gonna press my way, because the race is not given to the swift nor to the strong, but to the one. Slap it in a high five and say, I'm the one. It's given to the one. Everybody ain't gonna make it, but surely I will. It's given to the one. It's given to the one. The one that endures until the end. So Joseph, now you are fitted to say, I didn't understand this. It was unfair. It should not have happened to me. I didn't request this, but God gave this to me. Can I tell you, when you're a mature Christian, you understand that God don't just give good things? Can I say it again to you? When you are a mature Christian, see, because some of us are not matured. Because when things are not to our liking, we deem it to be the devil. When things are not what we want them to be, we say, you see what the devil did to me? And when we start giving the devil praise, that's what we're doing. We then start taking away praise from God. Because you can't praise two masters at one time. So here we are in our feelings, acknowledging that the devil has done something to us. And we give him what he wants. Y'all missed that. We hand him what he wants. He wants the praises of us. And because we're so frustrated what the enemy has done to us, we say, you know what? I ain't going to church. You can't tell me anywhere biblically. And you sure enough can't tell me anywhere through your prayer where God told you to stay your behind home. He never told you to stay home. Even when I went on my sabbatical, I still went to church. Can we say that again? I went on sabbatical to get better for here. You left because you didn't like here. So no, we're not equal. He went on a break, I'm going on a break. Nope, I went to get better for here. What you doing? Staying home? Allowing your glass to hold up longer in your hand? To now you're numb and you can't take it no more? And now your glass is breaking? I'm saying to you, man, you better recognize the works of the enemy. Some of us can't be who God called us to be because we're still into what we did, we dealt with. We're still stuck on how it happened, when it happened, and we're still diagnosing how unfair it is that what happened to us. And I'm saying to you, man, let that stuff go. Let it go. It's time to live again. We all standing. Let it go. Get over it. The moment that you get over what your brothers did to you is the moment you can be what your position is now. But watch this, you can't function in your position stealing your feelings about your brothers. Did y'all catch that? I don't care how much you make it up. I don't care how much lipstick and makeup you put on to make it look right for church. Until you really have the release, you will never function in your assignment. After he released it, he functioned in his assignment. When he functioned in his assignment, now everybody was blessed. What's amazing to me is how God will take what you dealt with and make it where you don't even remember that you dealt with it. He'll remove it from you. But some of you want to hold on to it. And what you're doing is you're torturing yourself because you're looking to see how can I get even for what you did to me. It's a dangerous place when you're trying to get even. It's a dangerous place when you can't let go of something that was misdone or mistreated to you. It's a dangerous place when you're in that position and you say, you know what? I can't forgive it. I can't move on from it. And we say that good phrase, I forgive you. But I don't forget it. And we stuck there now on, I don't forget it, which means it aggravates me on a regular. I don't forget it means that it's always in my head that you did this to me. And I forgive you because it's biblical. But I don't forget it because it's natural. So here I am tortured by what I allowed to have space in my cranium to remind me about what you did. So actually, I gave you a piece of me still, where you still get to be in a high-ranking position called my mind, that you remind me of what you did to me. So even though you've left, I held on to you. Even though you walked away, I'm holding on to you. I choose to beat myself with the memory of what you did. I choose to just literally just assault myself with the memory of what you did. And I know sometimes forgiveness can be a process, but start it. I'm not saying to you that when he cried out and wept, that it was gone from his head, but it did become dismissed from his heart. After he took him through all those games, he finally said, come here, come closer. It's me. All this fluff, still who I am. And because he was able to recognize that, he was able now to experience real healing for himself. And I'm saying to you today, man, experience healing. Experience the healing. God got so much waiting for you that you can't get to because you still filling your mind with the stuff that happened. And you can't do nothing about what happened. What happened has happened. The only thing you can do about what's ahead. And so today I want to challenge you, ministers in the house. I want to challenge you today. I want to challenge you all over this place. Hear me good on this. I want to challenge you to get to a position of saying, you know what? Mothers, jump out there with them as well. I want to challenge you to say, man, deacons, spread yourself around. want you to say, man, it hurt. That's real. Y'all turn your face that way. I know how y'all look. I want you to look into their faces. And as you're going through these situations, man, there are people in this aisle today. And all they want to do is they want to pray with you. Because I understand that offense is real. I understand that it's real. I understand that offense is real. I understand that offense has happened. I understand that offense sometimes can knock you off focus. I'm not saying that that's not the case. But I'm saying that you got to choose to let it go. You got to choose to get to the other side of this. What's holding you back? What have you allowed to sit so heavy on your heart that it's holding you back? I'm saying to you, God's saying, let it go. It's so much more for you. I was teaching a Bible study that God wants to give us a satisfying life. Satisfying life. Not a life that we sustain or a life that we suffer with. He wants to give us a satisfying life. But you got to be willing to let some stuff go. Because everything that you didn't like wasn't working against you. Some of the stuff you didn't like was working for you. And so while they're in the aisles right there, I want you to step out from where you are. If that's you and you say, you know what, I need prayer because I need God to let me release some stuff from my heart. It's some stuff that I got to get over. Some people that did me wrong, some people that did some stuff to me, and I recognize that it ain't doing nothing but tearing me apart. They want to walk with you. They want to talk with you. They want to pray with you. Lady T, bring her all the way up to the center. Y'all come to the center and go outwards. Let them come through. Let them come through. They're out there. Grab their hands. They're out there. They want to pray with you. They want to pray with you. They're out there. They want to pray with you.